Hello and welcome back to Push Box Banter. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Craig, and we are here to talk about F1 and all that implies today at one of the great races of all time. Well, I guess that's arguable, but at Silverstone in England.
And all we got to say is Nico,
Nico,
Nico, Nico, Nico.
Yes. Yeah, a little aura farming there.
There you go.
Yeah, Daniel's a lot better at this than I am on aura farming.
No.
Yeah, he's perfected it. Yeah.
Lots to talk about.
Definitely lots to talk
Nico
about.
wins his first podium.
Oh my gosh, so great.
Or should I say gets his first podium? But
Yeah, gets wins. Yeah, definitely deserved.
He's a winner today.
Yes.
It's a win for him.
That's his first podium since 2009 when he was in a different league. Like he was supposed to be he was supposed to be great, not just like a good driver, around for a long time, but like winning on the podium all the time. And he's been a great driver. It
just hasn't.
The luck
for
when
him.
he's had the car hasn't had the luck, and when he's then a lot of times he hasn't had the car.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I really like Nico. I used to follow him when he was in Force India with Sergio Perez.
Yeah,
and every time Force India actually got a podium, it was Sergio Perez getting the podium. But it's always been like, oh my God, come on, Nico, you got this, you can do it. Never happened.
Yeah, there was one time I think on Drive to Survive where he was in position, and it was at Silverstone, if I remember correctly, and he spun out.
Yeah. There's been a few times where it's been so close, but good for him.
Yes, definitely good for him, and also for Sauber too.
Big time.
That's their first podium since 2012.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
I can.
Like being in the sports.
Yeah,
league
well, it's good for their last year to be in F1.
Yeah,
because they're gonna be Audi.
That's true.
So
not officially Sauber anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oscar gets robbed today.
He kind of did. Yeah, I mean, maybe he deserved a penalty, but he was a little harsh.
And Lando wins at home.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's his home race.
I know.
And he had like his home crowd and everything there, and all his favorite little yellow color. That's his crash helmet color.
Yeah, that's right.
It's pretty cool.
So, Craig, talk to us about what led up to this race. Like, what did we see? What are some things that were some stories in F1?
So the big leading up story this whole week was Max Verstappen in talks with Mercedes, and Toto, totally going for Max Verstappen, and the talk being, a big time contract, him coming over to Mercedes. George Russell, don't know if that would mean he'd stay or Antonelli would stay. Not really sure. Russell's not under contract for next year, so that's part of the thought, that he would be out the door. Verstappen would be in. Antonelli would be there. So there's also a lot of talk about, well, Verstappen's under contract till 28. Does he have exit clauses out of his contract if he doesn't perform to a certain level? And Red Bull right now, cars kind of questionable, and he's in third place in the driver's standing. Russell's kind of coming up. So there's all sorts of like rumors and everything, people talking about that. So, I mean, it's very, very interesting.
It is.
Yeah. Do you think that, what do you think about Max Verstappen and Mercedes? Do you think he would go there?
I would love to see it happen. It's time for him to make a change. He's been at Red Bull since he started. So, hey, man, take the leap, try another livery and see what happens,
I think that, it's kind of interesting. They talk about Sebastian Vettel, and he has like a similar career path where he won 4 championships with Red Bull. I think his first win was the same race that Max Verstappen had his first win, same location. And then after 4 years with Red Bull, then he shifted over to another team, went over to Ferrari. But I don't think Max is going to Ferrari.
Not now.
Yeah,
not
I don't
now,
think so.
But maybe after Hamilton retires, why? I mean, why
well,
not?
Yeah, why not?
Hamilton is
why not
mid-40s, right?
Yeah, it could happen.
So it can happen.
But I mean, if he goes to Mercedes, he's going to have to repaint his jet because it's kind of the Red Bull colors. However, they did notice that on Max Verstappen's merch site that a lot of his gear was going on sale. But that could be because he sees that he's like, he's fallen behind in the drivers' championship and he's going to lose that number one. So he's going to have to go back probably to number 33. So he's going to have to sell off a lot of merchandise. So if you want the number one on Max Verstappen merchandise, you might want to go and start buying up because that might move off the shelves. Although it may go on further discount. I don't know.
Max number one merch will be the new Labubu, basically.
It could be, yeah. Yes. Yeah, we might see that.
There you have it.
I wonder if he has a little Labubu shirt with the number one.
You never know.
Or a Labubu doll with the number one on it.
I think I've seen some Labubus with the little race gear. So, and I'm pretty sure there's some that are like Red Bull related.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. So if you guys know of a Labubu that we can get that's Red Bull with Max Verstappen, let us know. You can send us the comments. That'd be funny.
Or just send us a Labubu.
That would be great too. That'd be great too. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Excellent. Anything else?
With like leading into the race, I mean, that was kind of the big thing. I mean, also you have, Hamilton coming back to his home race. Hamilton's had great results for years at Silverstone. So this time he showed up, and I think it was for Thursday, but he showed up in some very fine clothes and a
designer
nice
wear.
Yes, some designer wear. It was like a 1.5 million Richard Mille watch. Richard Mille. Yes, Richard Mille. And then he had like
Burberry.
it was a Burberry. So it was like a sleeveless top, and it had all these Sikorsky crystals all over it. And it has like the shape and the colors of the Union Jack, and then it has like purple and pink threads in with it. So very, very stylish. Looked pretty cool, actually. Yeah. Pretty cool.
Yeah. So, lots of celebrities at the race this weekend.
Yes. So we had, let's see, Anna Taylor-Joy. We had
Gordon Ramsay,
Jeremy Clarkson.
That's right.
We had
staple.
Rebecca Ferguson.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And then we also had Keanu Reeves, who's going to be around F1 for a little bit.
That's right. He's making a documentary on the Cadillac F1 team.
That's pretty cool. I mean, like it's pretty cool how big F1 is getting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's already huge worldwide, but it's even like going to grow larger.
For sure. It keeps expanding here in the US, especially.
Yeah.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. So that's pretty awesome.
That is pretty awesome. So going into the race, Craig, or let's just say going into qualifying, was there anything to take note about qualifying?
Well, I think with qualifying, there were a few different things. One, in Q1, Franco Colapinto, he spins out. And you have to wonder, like, is he spinning out into the wall? Is he spinning totally out of his seat in F1 or totally out of F1? Those are some of the questions I was asking myself because, it looked pretty bad. He spun out, hit the wall. The car was able to move, but it had like really loose debris hanging on. So he had to stop, retire. So, of course, he's in 20th, basically because of that. So then you had some other stuff like in Q1, like Ferrari was not looking good.
They weren't looking that great.
I was getting concerned because they looked pretty good all weekend. And I was thinking, predictions, like I had Leclerc on the podium, you had Hamilton on the podium.
Right.
And, for all intents and purposes, like they should have been doing pretty good. They did make it out of Q1. They did pretty well, made it into, into Q3. Hamilton for a second, like
in Q3.
Yes.
Was looking hot.
He was.
Like, oh my goodness! I thought he was going to take it.
He was like down to the very one of the last few turns,
last 2 or 3 turns, and that was it. It was. It went from like, oh my god, he's setting some purple sectors, and then he hit some grass, and it just kind of falls away from him.
He got just a hair too aggressive, and it fell away from him, and so it slipped from where he was going to be like front row, possibly pole, to 4th.
That's right. Yep.
So
5th.
Yes, 5th. So, I mean,
it's still a good showing.
Not
too bad.
Not bad at all for him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that was pretty interesting. Leclerc was what, 6th, 7th, something like that?
Yeah, Leclerc was
in quali. Yeah, he had. Let's see. Leclerc
Sixth.
was sixth.
Yeah.
Yeah, right behind Hamilton. So, but we're getting used to seeing McLaren at the very top, 1-2 every single time, and out of nowhere, Max Verstappen comes to save the day for anybody that's not pulling for McLaren, and
Saves the day for you, Craig.
well, I was going to say that, but your words, not mine. So Max Verstappen comes, he saves my day, and gets pole position. So glorious. I could almost feel the earth move as everybody started singing the Max Verstappen song. But he comes in pole position
Out of nowhere. He
Out of
came out of
nowhere.
nowhere.
It was amazing. And it was also pretty amazing. Like the announcers were so stoked because every sector it's like purple. And they're like,
purple.
Yeah,
I was like, what?
Yeah, he does what he does. He's magnificent.
Yeah, you can't count him out ever.
Never.
Yeah,
Never.
I was
ever.
convinced. I was like, okay, he's gonna end fifth, sixth. It makes sense.
That's what I was
Makes
thinking
sense.
too. Yeah.
And then
he
all of
hadn't
a sudden you see purple, and he's the last one on track.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, boom, P1. I was like, wow, that's great, excellent.
Yeah. So you've got him first, and then you've got Piastri, Norris,
That's right.
Hamilton, Leclerc,
Russell, Hamilton, Leclerc.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was a good qualifying.
Mm-hmm.
And then going into the race, we had some rain. We had some water on the track.
Yes, we did.
Formation lap drama.
Mm-hmm. For those of you that don't know, I think both Daniel and I think it's okay for me to say this. We absolutely love it when it rains because it makes for fantastic chaos out on the racetrack.
And that's exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's talk about Calapinto again. So
Okay.
we had Calapinto, right? He had crashed
Yes.
out. Apparently he had taken, I think, a new power unit, some parts. And so he didn't start at P20, instead had to start like P60 or something because of all the grid penalties he had. So he had to start from pit lane, right? And so they go on their formation lap, and on the way back, it looks like he's stuck on like second gear or something. Oh, man. And he has a DNS, does not start.
God, that's the worst.
So really bad, considering he's like on a like race to race sort of, I don't want to say contract, but like his extension is like as good as he's going to be that following or that previous race, right? So
There's rumors
Anyway.
of him going.
yeah, so there are rumors of him going, and I mean, as unfortunate as that is for him, I'd love to see Bottas back, and I
Yeah.
think he's the replacement that everybody's talking about. So somewhere between him and, I mean, there's a few drivers out there, but it's got to be Bottas.
I think it will be. I mean,
I think we'll see him this season. I'm convinced. I mean, he's already traveling with everybody, so with them specifically, right? So
yeah, I think it'd be great to see Bottas back in a car.
I agree. Same.
Yeah.
So they do that, and then on their way back from the formation lap, people start to pit. They're like, you know what? We're not going to start this race on intermediates. It's looking like it can be a slick type of day, right?
Yeah.
So some drivers say, okay, I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to make that call. They go in for slicks. Who goes in?
Russell and Leclerc were the two big names.
The
I
big
think,
names, yeah.
Hajar went in, and there were a
That's
couple
right.
other drivers that went in too.
Definitely a couple of drivers. And so the start of the race is really just Verstappen, Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, and then a few empty
Hamilton,
spots.
yeah.
Hamilton, right?
Yeah, the grid looked really weird because there were so many empty spots along.
I love seeing that. That's amazing.
great.
Do you ever remember seeing that one start where it was Max at the front and that was it?
No.
Gosh. It was only Max on, I think it was like a restart or something, and it was just him and everybody went to change their tires.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's
it kind
awesome.
of reminded me of that a little bit, but Max had a so-so launch. Oscar had a great launch, but unfortunately not enough space to overtake Max. And they go and then they all kind of go and fall into sort of their own spot, right? And sure enough, not more than like 5 laps later, you have
Right away, within a couple of laps, you start having some safety cars,
you have a safe,
yellow flags.
you have some yellow flags, and then you hear okay, it's going to start to rain, and the people on slicks are struggling, and sure enough, it's just chaos from that moment
Right.
forward.
Yeah.
Basically, I would say midway through the race, or a little less than midway through the race, Max Verstappen gets overtaken by Piastri, and Piastri and Lando basically take off. And they're like so many seconds, like 10, 15.
So much faster.
So much faster. Get some more, you get another safety car. And this is where it happens, where Piastri gets robbed. Tell us what happens, Craig.
Well, so at one of the safety cars, they're coming around and they're just about ready to start going again. The safety car turns his lights off, speeds up, and Piastri hits the brakes. And when he does, Verstappen flies by him, somewhat to avoid an accident. I'm not really sure. I think Verstappen
a little
was
dramatic.
Probably a little dramatic.
Yeah.
Probably caught at the same time. Probably caught off guard that Piastri slowed down that much, and it was visibly like, why is he slowing down that much? So the restart, it gets going. Piastri gets a penalty for impeding, and they keep going, and then it's like a 10-second penalty that they issue.
Well, yeah. Well, let's take one step back. So you have the restart, right? And on the restart, within like 3 or 4 seconds, Max Verstappen spins.
That's true.
Right after the restart, which happens pretty quickly after the whole braking incident, right? So this is a matter of like 6 seconds, and sure enough, it only takes, a couple laps, and then we hear, okay, 10-second penalty for Piastri. That's incredible. That was a shock. I mean, way to throw a grenade and let it just explode.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on the penalty?
So the penalty, at first, I knew it was too much. Part of me wanted it to be, 10 seconds, because I thought at first that it might give Max a better chance to catch back up. But I realized it didn't, and then reality kind of hit, and I was like, it's really a harsh penalty for 10 seconds. 5 seconds, maybe? But then again, like we have a couple of other instances recently with that type of scenario happening and penalties not being issued out.
Yeah.
It does look like the braking was more so than in some of those other incidences, but that's it's a big call there. It's also weird, you get going. I don't see how his actions really caused any slowdown from anybody else. Or I know that you mentioned Max Verstappen spinning out within a couple of
I
don't know if that really is because of that. I mean, did his tires cool down so much that he couldn't keep grip?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Was Max Verstappen spin the result of Oscar's erratic braking?
It shouldn't be. Theoretically, they were
two separate things, right?
Correct. That is two separate things. The stewards are supposed to keep those things separate. Do they? Do they take that into
reality?
account?
Probably not.
Yeah,
because it didn't look like it. It looked like they almost attributed what happened to Max as a direct result of it.
Yeah.
I mean, who's to say? I can't speak for them, but it's what it felt like.
Somewhat. I mean, maybe it's their way of trying to keep the drivers' championship race still going for another week or two between 3 drivers instead of just 2.
Putting their thumb on the scale.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe, weighing the scale down just a little bit. But it did seem a little excessive, and it basically gave the race to Norris at that point.
It did. Well, what's the rationale for the 10 seconds, though?
Well, you need to obey the rules. And
okay, so but you don't agree with the 10 seconds.
I think it's too harsh. I think maybe a 5-second penalty would have been appropriate.
So, but why the 10? And I'm not asking like, hey, Craig, do you know this, right? But
right.
What do you think the rationale was? Because you're right. They hadn't issued anything beforehand that excessive. Not even 5 seconds. Why 10 seconds? Why this race? Is it because of the spray and because it was raining? It didn't make sense to me. It seemed like a real travesty, really.
Yeah, I think maybe sometimes I wonder if penalties like that they issue out are kind of to stop issues from happening in the future, and so they make.
So
them
it's
a little
happened
heavy.
A few times, and maybe they're like, okay,
so hey, we better either go heavy on
set a precedent
penalty to keep people from doing it, or they're like, oh, this would be horrible if it keeps happening. Let's set a big precedent now to stop it. and which really to whatever driver that's happening to is really kind of unfair.
Yeah.
I don't
It
think
did
that,
seem unfair.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't think
totally.
that was
Yeah.
a really fair thing. The other weird thing and the other that's about this is because Norris is the one that won, and because Piastri and Norris being on the same team, if it was a different team, any other team that won, McLaren would have been going to the stewards, like protesting, showing evidence,
Yeah,
all of this
yeah.
stuff. But because it's their own teammate, like Oscar doesn't get that opportunity.
Do you think McLaren, Zach specifically, do you think they have a responsibility to Oscar to go and appeal that penalty, even though Lando won? They got a 1-2.
I think I think that they should redo or review the information that they have, and if they see that hey, he wasn't braking excessively, or that there is rationale to that, maybe they should.
I think they owe it to
that
him
they should,
as a just formality for his sake.
yeah. I mean, they don't have a
As
number
like
one
a-
driver, so why would they not do that? Why would they not go and stand up for their own driver?
I agree.
Now, they could have stood up for it in the form like Oscar does ask something along the lines of, hey, are they going to give the place back to him because of that?
Right. But that, again, that's not
But
that's
he
not
asks
Lando's
that.
fault.
It's not Lando's
because
fault,
if
yeah.
again, if Oscar were on another team altogether, it wouldn't be an issue. He wouldn't be asking Lando to give that place back if he
Right.
was in another team, even though he feels like he got robbed, which
Yeah.
it does. I mean, perception is reality here. Like, he got robbed.
Yeah.
It's still not Lando's fault.
Mhm.
Does it take away from Lando's win? I don't know. Ask Lando.
Yeah.
For me, maybe it does. It doesn't feel right.
It doesn't feel right. And you can say, well, okay, if it was a 5-second penalty, all right, Piastri ends up being 6 seconds behind Norris. He did kind of drive a little angry afterward. He did make some mistakes after he took a 10-second penalty on the pits. So, okay, well, all right. Now, if it would have been better if Lando had just beaten him outright by 10 seconds.
Hey, Craig, I think it's the Lando stand that gave him the energy and the will, that gave Lando the energy that he needed to not make any mistakes and win that race. What do you think?
I think that the Lando stand actually helps him. Supposedly at Silverstone is one of the few places where the drivers can hear the roar of the crowd as they're driving around, and it kind of lift you up. But I think too, we've talked about this, Lando's mindset. And I think that he's kind of shifted to a positive mindset, that he's shifted, is kind of manifesting good things coming his way. He seemed really calm throughout the race. He seemed like he drove with peace, with joy, with love in his heart. I know I say that a little sarcastically, but seriously,
yes.
he was really loving doing what he's doing, which is driving that race car at his home track.
But still very delicately, because
Right.
at the end, he still said, hey, don't F this up.
Yeah.
So in his mind, he's still kind of self-doubting. So it's
Maybe a
still
little bit, yeah.
still a delicate bit of mental fortitude. He still needs to keep that positivity up.
Yeah.
But yeah,
He's moving in the right direction. though.
Totally.
And I think his
As-
fans definitely helped him with it today.
yeah, totally.
I think so. Yeah.
His
and
mom too. He's
yeah.
got his whole family, his friends, I'm sure.
It's power of your mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mindset is everything.
That's
guys.
right. That's right. Yes.
Yeah. So it was a pretty bad day for a lot of other folks though.
Yeah.
Yuki
Strategy. Yuki. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
got a 10-second penalty for crashing into Antonelli.
He's like a magnet for the rear of the back end of the grid. In sport, in cycling, on Grand Tours, they actually give a way. It's kind of somewhat a badge of honor if you come in last on some of these things, over throughout the whole tour. I wonder if that's going to be the case. If you score at the back of the grid enough that you get an honor.
Yeah.
I don't know, but. Yeah, Yuki, rough day.
An honor to give up your seat.
Oh, you're right.
Eesh.
Yeah. So, a couple of other strategy calls, Mercedes and Ferrari on their strategy calls. And then you also have the Racing Bulls, both Lawson and Hajar.
Terrible luck today.
Yeah, bad luck.
Bad luck.
Getting knocked out.
Both. Two DNFs. That's wild.
2 DNFs. You had Haas running into each other, and they kind of did like this this spin at the same time as they're spinning together off the track. It was quite harmonious.
Synchronized spinning.
Synchronized spinning, yes. Yes, synchronized spinning. Yeah. Yeah, the strategy with Ferrari, that was, with pulling Leclerc.
Yeah,
putting him in
pulling
the pits to
Leclerc.
start.
Yeah, it was like a bad day, but it wasn't the worst day. Hamilton rescued something, coming in fourth.
Which is kind of cool when you think about it, because they took a gamble, and if their gamble with Leclerc worked, then great, it worked. But if it's not going to work, then they made the right choice with Hamilton.
Yeah.
And they definitely did. I thought Hamilton drove the wheels off that car.
He really did. And and he's saying himself, like he said, hey, this car doesn't work in low speed corners. So considering that, he did a good job.
Yeah, he did really well.
What about Red Bull with their low downforce setup?
Dude,
we already talked about Yuki, but
low
Max,
downforce setup was
Max
great
was-
for qualifying, but rough for
Yeah.
the slick conditions. I
Yeah.
mean, they took a gamble there.
Yeah.
Paid off.
paid off in quali.
and it looked like it was going to pay off in the race. He was doing well for most of the race, and then
It
when he
didn't.
spun out, it just he dropped down to like 10th or 11th. He was able to make it back to 6th, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
So yeah, could have been worse for them. Could have been a lot worse for them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah, Mercedes, they had a rough day. Antonelli's at the back. He gets ran into from behind at one point. And then Russell, all of his tire strategies just didn't seem like anything worked.
Yeah,
Like
nothing worked for him.
there's a shot of Toto just slowly closing his eyes and his head falling, falling, and hitting the front of the monitor. It was a rough day for Mercedes.
Yeah, he's like, last time
It's
I
like,
trust Russell.
I know, yeah.
Can't wait till Max is here.
That's right. There's no Verstappen right now, and I got this guy,
Max
Russell.
wouldn't have made this call for
That's
slick
right.
tires.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But man, it made it great, because you'd have rain and dry, then more rain.
It was up and down. It was a roller coaster of a
Right.
race. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
What about for next race? What do you think?
So for
We
the
have
next
Spa.
race, I mean,
Who are your predictions, Craig? What do you think? Is Lando going to make a big leap forward and cement this, or is it going to be Oscar coming back? Does Max Verstappen do some sort of like magic in Spa?
yeah, is he going to come back from the dead? I don't know. Wait, was
No,
that out loud?
probably not.
No. So my predictions, I'm going to go out on a limb here, but we're going to go with Piastri and Norris. 1, 2. Piastri,
Okay.
1.
Mhm.
Norris, 2. And then Hamilton. That's my podium.
Okay. I'm going to go Piastri, Norris, Verstappen.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah. I hope that he does. I hope Verstappen's up there. In fact, what I hope it is, my hopeful projections.
Oh my! So this is your alternate,
my alternate
prediction.
universe. Yeah, if
Alternate
everything goes right in the world, which would have to be amazingly crazy things. Some things would have to go bad for some people, but something for Max Verstappen to win, Hamilton to be up there, and it would be great to see either a Williams or a Sauber up there again.
I would love to see a Sauber up there again.
So earlier this year, I predicted that Sauber was a one-hit wonder, and they've proven me wrong.
Yeah, they have, and yeah, they had some bad luck too. They had a little bit of bad luck, but
Yeah,
if it weren't for that Bortoletto spin, I think maybe both cars would have been in the points. So,
hey, they just need a little what is it? Aura farming guy out on the front of their
right.
car,
all
and all
right.
things are right in the world. All right, guys, that's all we got. I think.
Yeah, that's all we have.
We could talk forever on this,
We
but
could
we're going to
speak
keep it at a limit
forever.
for today.
All right,
Yes,
Craig, thank you so much.
Daniel, thank you.
Yeah,
It's good times.
can't wait for next time. And
Yes.
guys, like, subscribe.
Yes, follow. You know what to do on your platform. So yeah, comment, all that good stuff.
And
Yes, live passionately, guys. Yes.
thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye-bye.